At the Mobile World Congress a month ago, we have seen the Samsung Galaxy S6 rise from the stars. Because Samsung has a brand new design with metal all around, a non-removable battery, non-expandable internal memory, but wireless charging now built in, a beautiful screen and even better cameras than we have seen ever before. I've shot the most beautiful pictures and videos while skiing over the weekend, for example, which you guys have maybe probably already seen on my YouTube channel, but now here is the full review after the first impression review I've shot a month ago. So the phone is beautiful and the price is not that beautiful, with starting off $900 without a contract, but it's probably worth the price more than the $800 that you have to pay for an iPhone, because there is just a lot of more features inside and really awesome features, as you will see in this video. So before we go all around the software, as you can see, we have now here on the Edge device, for example, which is exactly the same hardware-wise as the regular Samsung Galaxy S6. In terms of hardware, we have the same camera, same processor, the same amount of 3 gigs of RAM. You can see it's both available in 32 gigs, but also 64 and 128 for a little bit more price. Then we have the same connectors and everything, and also same camera, sensors, and all of the stated are really exactly the same except for the battery. Here we have 6,000 milliamp. Here we have 5,500. It's a little bit less, 2% less, so who cares? And also otherwise, here we have, of course, the edges. So the edges mean we have 1 or 2 extra features here that you might find handy, like for example, when you swipe it up and down here, you can read a little bit the time and the date, usually, when it works. Maybe I've turned it off, I'm not sure right now. Anyhow, so you can see the time and date usually on the side. We will check that out in a minute, why it's not working. So if you press the home button on the bottom, you have now the possibility to still use the fingerprint reader, but you don't have to swipe anymore, like for example with the Note 4, the Note Edge, or the S5 last year. So what you can do really now is just use one of the fingers that you have assigned, left, right, thumb, pointer, or whatever finger. Here, if you go into the settings and under security somewhere down here, lock screen and security, you can just adjust here your fingerprint. When you already have a fingerprint set up, you have to access that with that one, and you can just say you want another fingerprint, and then you can start putting down here your fingerprint. And the same as with Apple, it will vibrate for every time you put it on right, but you can also exit this menu at all times you want, and you can also use this for paying with Samsung Pay or even PayPal, which is also NFC enabled, and stores like McDonald's or other places where you have already wireless payment via NFC. That's of course also built in here, not only wireless charging, which you can actually see in the background, because this is a wireless charging external battery. So there's an external battery that you can just have here on your table or wherever with you in your backpack, and you can see here we have 55% right now. I just have to put it on here, it makes a little beep noise, and it will start wireless charging here in a second, and glowing red here on top it should. Or if I just get it a little bit closer, you can see here it's wireless charging because the icon says it's charging. And if I turn the screen off, of course it still stays here red with the LED, and you can see that it's charging. So of course this one is also supporting that. You can see we have here the same battery amount as there, or had the same battery, but you can just keep in a closer look on the number here, and then you will see here at the end of the review how good the battery really is. So more on tips and tricks on the software. I will show you a few here, like for example double tap for the cameras to open up, or triple tap is also possible, for example grayscale and other features. You can find most of that here in my tips and tricks video, which I will have here on the bottom for you guys. So definitely check out my almost 30 minutes video on what software features are new here in the brand new Samsung Galaxy S6 and in the S6 Edge. So there's a lot to see here, so let's start, as we were able to see, with the camera, but not actually the camera, but the gallery, because I really, as I said, a lot to show you guys of my skiing trip, and low light and non-low light pictures and videos. You probably have seen some pictures like this where I've shot here the Go-Go Girls in a nightclub, which shows that especially the f1.9 here on the back and the front are really amazing for just shooting pictures anywhere, anytime, as long as you have a good battery life. So for example, I wanted to take a picture of the drinks here, and you can see how nicely it turned out with the gin tonic, which is a little bit blue, but I can also show you guys, of course, some Go-Go Girls. This is, for example, the front camera. You wouldn't believe QHD 2560 x 1440 is not only the pixel resolution of the screen on the front, but also of the front camera in which you can shoot videos. So for the back camera, let me hold the camera a little bit closer. We can show you maybe not a video like that, but for example, also something that is slow motion like this. And actually I have an even better one, I think. So this is all recorded in 4K. So this was a 10-second clip, and you can just also say you want to watch it in or shoot it in slow motion, and then something like this would come out. So you guys can see the beginning part is regular. For slow motion, it can only record 720p, which is a little bit sad, but then you can say the essential moment should be in slow motion, and then it will look like that. Which is really quite cool, and you can see on the bottom that we can really set up, okay, the beginning shouldn't be that long, the slow motion could be a little bit longer, and the end should be maybe a little bit shorter. You can see the settings, and you can just hit export, and it's as easy as you know it from an iPhone, for example. And you can also say mute and add some music later on, and you can also share it, delete it, favorite it, and go hit more, and then you will have even more options on that. Again, picture quality, really amazing. For example, here, the Jägermeister, you can read even a tiny text here on the little bottle. It's a little bit grainy and not looking perfect, but registered trademark of Must Jägermeister, Wolfenbüttel, Germany. And you can see on the right, when it's in the Red Bull, the little tiny bubbles. All the details, really amazing. If you ask me, looks really cool. So again, in low light, not only videos are nice, but also here photos. This is, yeah, you can see some to drink, vodka and gin and everything. And here on the Red Bull, what I want to show you guys again, how detailed the 16 megapixel camera is. It says here in German, belebt Geist und Körper, Red Bull, so wakes up body and mind, or the other way around. Some food pictures. Selfies during sunlight with the beautiful Alps in the background. Again, this is the camera in the front with 5 megapixel resolution. And also, as I said, you can shoot beautiful 4K videos here. And it will just look amazing. Let me get a little bit closer. Of course, you can add then some different sound, music or whatever, and you can also have a video editor on here and cut everything together, except if you're shooting 4K. So if you go here back and you want to say editor, I probably have not shot this in 4K because before the video editor did not allow actually here the editing feature when it was in 4K, and you can see it exactly here, it's just in 720p. That's why this is possible to edit in video, not like, for example, here the girls dancing. If you go into the details, you will see this is 4K, 2160p, 5 minutes, and when I go here into the editor, it will tell me I can't edit the video, just the audio, and I can just trim it. So you can just cut the beginning or the end or anything else. Again, this one is also available completely in my YouTube channel, so definitely check that out to see the beautiful quality of the videos that you can see in low light, daylight, here with the Samsung Galaxy S6, because you can shoot really beautiful pictures with a smartphone, and a professional photographer didn't believe me that this came out of a smartphone. Enough of the talking. If I show you guys right now that the camera is awesome, you can see it doesn't look that great as in the pictures before because the light is not here as good, and we just have really poor light. But what's quite interesting is also that if you go into the settings, you can enable track AF, track A autofocus. So you can say I want to have, for example, here the sheep also in focus always. You can see the boxes stay out of focus, and if I move the camera, it will stay in focus. So for example, if this would be a baby and moving around, the baby would always be the sharp object, and you can just hit the photo button and the focus would not move. You can do the same thing, of course, for different objects. Like for example, I want to have here the 32 gigs always in focus. And if I turn the camera to the left or the right, it tries to keep that point, but if it doesn't, you can just hit it again, and you can see I can just move here and nothing happens to the focus because it just stays always in the same point, which is really amazing. Otherwise, you have HDR on or just auto, which means it can choose between if it knows that the light is good or bad, that it should choose or use HDR or not, and it also works for video, which is also again amazing. For the front camera, again, here the quality you were able to see in the pictures before, it's a lot better when the light is better or not this strange, like it's not too dark, not too bright. You can see here a lot of strange things happening, but otherwise 5 megapixels, really wide angle. If you enable that, you have here also HDR if you want for the front camera, and you can really see all details, like for example off my camera here, the little text on the bottom. If you just zoom in, you can see here completely what numbers are on my lens. So enough about the camera. I think this was the longest part. I should show you guys some gaming, but what I actually want to show you guys is some benchmarks, because these are gaming benchmarks, especially by Antutu, where I got over 70,000 points. That's almost double than the last generations. I hope Antutu remembers my number. If not, I can show you a screenshot, because otherwise I have to run a 5-minute benchmark again. And I actually have a benchmark video. Yeah, it didn't remember, which I always love about Antutu. It loves to forget my numbers. So you guys can see here the G925F, which is the Edge. The 920 would be the regular version, has 70,000 points. And the Note 4 just had 50,000. So about 50% faster here, the brand new Samsung Galaxy S6 than the ridiculously big Note 4. Or not ridiculously big, just big. Or even, as you can see in the S5 on the bottom, it got like 45,000 points. So really, more than 50% faster here, the brand new S6 than the last generation S5. So it's definitely worth a buy. Buy the phone. I could say just like that. And yeah, if you just go into the apps, they are the regular apps that we had before. Nothing special there. We still have the video player, YouTube. I installed some of myself. What's quite interesting is though that you can now see here not only your heart rate via your finger that you hold over the sensor on the back, but you can also see your oxygen level here, for example, which is in my case 96% a few hours ago, as you can see here, which is quite good. It's in a green area. And you can also check out your stress level, which is not that good right now of me, but of course I'm testing the Samsung Galaxy S6, so that can't be the best right now. And you can also check out the trend, but of course this is the first test I ran. And you can also add how much water you drank, how many coffees you had, and so on here in the S Health app. So Samsung is still trying to look out for your health. And there's a lot of other features, like for example you can have now dual window right here running with a few extra hits of a button. Here, for example, a mix player with some gallery here on the bottom, and then you can also change the sizes and so on. But I show you all this in my tips and tricks video, which you can check out in the description below, which is actually even longer than this review video, because there's so many software features here in the Samsung Galaxy S6 that I don't want to bore you with it to death, because it's just way too much to show. So the cameras are amazing. The battery life, I can tell you guys, when I was skiing, I plugged it out at 8 in the morning, and at 1 in the afternoon I had about 55% left, because I was shooting a lot of pictures and videos. Not so much of 3G or 4G going on then, but of course also a bit Wi-Fi when I was stopping, and there was some places where I had Wi-Fi that was really good. But you can also see it here, since we started this review video I think 40 minutes ago, we went down about 5-6%, which is alright, because the brightness is not that high, but we are doing a lot with the processor here, with the camera, 4K video playback, editing, and so on, that you were able to see. If you just open up the browser, nothing much has changed there. The Wi-Fi is a little bit strange here at home the last few days for me, so sorry about that. Why, for example, this is not loading, but what I wanted to show you here is actually just the keyboard on the bottom. It's still quite quick. And this is, again, one of the fastest smartphones out there right now, so definitely take a look. And my last addition here to the review is it feels really amazing. This is the phone I've been waiting for by Samsung since the Samsung Galaxy S2, which was really light and awesome. After that, they just repeated themselves. You can see actually the big screen again. Sorry about that. It feels better, the edge, than the regular S6 if you're not wondering which one you should buy, because actually this one is really slippery here on the bottom. It feels like a Apple iPhone 6. The Apple iPhone 6 has that, well, not that great design, because on the 5 and the 4 they had this really edgy, and now they have this really, you can't just feel anything here and it just slips out of your hand if you're not looking out for it. Not only because it's big, it's as big as the S6 or a little bit smaller, but not too much. If you compare it like this, it's almost the same size. In thickness, it seems a little bit thicker than Samsung, but this is actually 7 millimeters and this is 6.9. So it's just 0.9 millimeters in difference there, but I've already shown you most of the of those features, I think, in my comparison video of these two. So these two feel quite of alike, the S6 and the S6 or the 6 by Apple. So they are really glibbery, will easily fall out of your hand. But this one is really nice because you have a nice little edge here on the bottom, like on the iPhone 4 and iPhone 5 and S's. And this makes it really my perfect smartphone, probably 2015, but we will see what will come out in the summer. So till then, this was my review of the Samsung Galaxy S6, the most beautiful smartphone I've seen out there right now. I would wish that there is the same features on the glance screen than on the Note Edge that you can see in the picture also, which is a little bit bigger, but the glance screen is also bigger. But maybe in the future when Samsung decides that they should make another Edge smartphone, they will think about combining these two features, because in my comparison video you can also see that this one is just a lot better than that one. So thank you much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Balazs. Till next time, peace and again, and thank you much for watching.